Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of What Israel Is. I'm your host, Avishai. I wanted today to speak about one of the most pervasive myths with regards to Jews, and specifically with regards to Ashkenazi Jews, of which I am one. And this is the Khazar theory. Okay, so what is the Khazar theory? Let's begin with a little clarification of terms. So, what or who is a Khazar? Okay, so the Khazars are an ethnic, ostensibly, group that lived or appeared into history, as it were, during the time we speak of as the Dark Ages. Particularly, it seems that they started to be mentioned around the 7th century AD, and they are a Turkic nation that settled along around the area of the Caucasus, some area of what is today southern Ukraine, Russia, bits of around the Caspian Sea as well. Um, what did I mean when I said Turkic? So, from about the 4th century and leading on to the Middle Ages, we have a migration. There are several migrations from several different places going on around the area of Europe. But one of the most major ones is from Central Asia. The first major migration of Turkic peoples into Europe that we know of is obviously the invasion of the Huns into Europe. But following that, we have all sorts of petty kingdoms or khanates, or sometimes khaganates, that were established in the areas of Eastern Europe, Western Asia, etc. And a khanates, that is a kingdom led by a Khan, such as the term that we know of from Mongolia, for example. And a Khaganate is one that is it's the same thing essentially, but a Khagan means the Khan of Khans, the king of kings, essentially. The Khazar kingdom was a Khaganate, so the leader was named a Khagan, a king of kings. Now, something curious happened around the 8th century, apparently, and this kingdom of Turkic shamanists, that is, their religion was a shamanistic religion, where they revered the forces of nature, appeared to undergo some sort of conversion to Judaism. It is unclear how complete the conversion is. We have no records that show that all of... Well, we have some records by people outside of Khazaria referencing this conversion, but nothing that indicates, no archaeological finds that show us that all Khazars converted to Judaism. But we have, as I said, we have some attestation of Khazars, or at least the elite, the social elite of this Khazar Khaganate having converted to Judaism. We have, for example, a correspondence. This is the Ibn-Shaprut correspondence. Hasdai Ibn-Shaprut was a Jewish dignitary from Muslim Spain, Al-Andalus, who had heard some rumors regarding a Jewish kingdom. And so he sent, through German Jewish merchants, a letter to address to the Jewish king of this Jewish kingdom, and he has received a letter from the king, within which is a clarification of the story of the conversion and the actual origins of the Khazars. Nowadays, the authenticity of the correspondence is unclear, with some people convinced that it is a forgery of sorts. But at some point in the 19th century, with the advent of, even before that, in the 18th century, we have a discovery of the ancient past, and specifically of the past of the Dark Ages. So you see a lot of romantic epics about, say, Saxons and the time of Charlemagne, and etc., etc. This is because of the advent of archaeology and of this kind of scholarship of this ancient history. And one thing that these people have found out was about the Khazars, and we have a bit of theories coming up with regards to the Khazars and where they went and their disappearance. Well, we know what happened to the Khazar kingdom. In the early 11th century, or even before that, around the end of the 10th century, the Khazar kingdom was conquered by the Rus. The Rus, or the early Slavic kingdoms of what is today Russia and Ukraine. Specifically by a king known as Sviatoslav the Great. So that's what happened to the kingdom, but then there comes a question of what happened to the actual, people who lived therein. Were they assimilated? Did they convert into another religion? So we don't know. We have no idea what happened to them. But some have offered theories with regards to the Khazars having left their kingdom in the Caucasus and resettled in Eastern Europe. Again, we have no attestation of this, but this theory managed to gain some sway, and particularly we have a Jewish Hungarian author by the name of Arthur Koestler, who he himself was a Holocaust survivor, and he was apparently fascinated with the idea of the Khazars, and specifically this theory that the Khazars were the ancestors of Ashkenazi Jews. And I think one of the greatest appeals with regards to this theory for him was that it meant that the Nazis were wrong, and that Ashkenazis are not Semitic at all. And this seemed like a good thing to him. However, this book and all of the following works of literature about this particular theory have gained mostly traction with people who oppose the existence of Israel, or those who well, just plain hate Jews, and maybe particularly hate Ashkenazi Jews. It is actually, well, it's rare, but you could sometimes even find Mizrahi Jews in Israel or outside of Israel, but who lived in Israel, who have particularly strong anti-Ashkenazi sentiments, who believe that Ashkenazis are not actually Jewish, and that they're Khazar converts, and well, there should not be any bad sentiment with regards to converts within Judaism. The Bible is pretty clear on how converts to Judaism should be treated, but then again, well, never mind. We won't get into the depths of Jewish xenophobia right now. But yeah, this theory has gained traction mostly with disreputable fellows. But does it even make sense? No, it really, really doesn't. For one thing, we know of Jewish presence in Central Europe from as far back as the days of the West Roman Empire. Particularly, we know of a Jewish settlement in what is today Hungary, from even before the arrival of the Magyar people. The Magyar people being the modern day Hungarians. So there's that. We have actual legal documentation from the Frankish Empire pertaining to the status and the legal rights of Jews living in Carolingian France and Germany. We know under this Frankish rule, we know of Jews settling all across France and Germany, particular towns, etc. We actually know of a Jewish ambassador that was sent with a delegation to the Arab Caliph by Karl the Great, Charlemagne. And just a quick point, all of this documentation is essentially it's contemporary to the existence of the Khazar Khaganate. So it's from the same time. We know of all of this going on in Central Europe, concurrent with the existence of the Khazar Khaganate. And while we have documentation of Jews emigrating from, say, various Muslim countries and into Europe, or from one European kingdom to the other, we have no such documentation attesting Jewish immigration from Khazaria into other European countries. This doesn't mean it didn't happen, but we don't have the documentation supporting this theory. And another point is that even within Ibn-Shaprut's dubious story of the correspondence, the correspondence wouldn't have been even possible if it weren't for the existence of German Jewish merchants. So again, there are German Jews of which Ibn-Shaprut was aware of, and he did not see them as Khazars, who helped him pass along a letter to the Khazar king. So in short, we have attestation of Jews in Europe from before the Great Turkic Migration. Jews are attested in Central Europe concurrently with the existence of the Khazar kingdom. And we have no evidence, nor nothing even, that points to Khazars having converted to Judaism en masse. So we don't know that all of them converted to Judaism. And this is why this theory is bullshit, that has no legs to stand up on. This is it for today. I hopefully will see you guys next week. Until then, have an awesome weekend.